This episode of the OmniTalk Retail Fast 5 is brought to you by the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Miracle, the catalyst of commerce. Over 450 retailers are opening new revenue streams with marketplaces, dropship, and retail media, and succeeding. With Miracle, you can unlock more products, more partners, and more profits without the heavy lifting. What's holding you back? Visit miracle.com to learn more. That's MIRAKL.com. And Corso. Your stores are full of data, but are your teams acting on it? Corso turns retail data into personalized daily to-dos that drive sales, reduce waste, and improve execution. No fluff, just action. Help your managers focus on what matters most. Visit Corso.com to see intelligent management in motion. And Infios. At Infios, they unite warehousing, transportation, and order management into a seamless, adaptable network. Infios helps you stay ahead from promise to delivery and every step in between. To learn more, visit Infios.com. And finally, Ocampo Capital. Ocampo Capital is a venture capital firm founded by retail executives with the aim of helping early-stage consumer businesses succeed through investment and operational support. Learn more at ocampocapital.com. Hello, you are listening to OmniTalk's Retail Fast 5, ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally, and currently the only retail podcast ranked in the top 100 of all business podcasts on Apple Podcasts. The Retail Fast 5 is the podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week too. And the Fast 5 is just one of the many great podcasts you can find from the OmniTalk Retail Podcast Network, alongside our Retail Daily Minute, which brings you a curated selection of the most important retail headlines every morning, and our Retail Technology Spotlight series, which goes deep each week on the latest retail technology trends. Today is September 17th, 2025. Wow. I'm one of your hosts, Ann Mazinga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we're here live from the Fusion Group booth in Paris at NRF Europe to bring you all the top headlines from the past week, making waves in the world of omnichannel retailing. But Chris, before we get to the headlines, we're here in Paris.
We are. It's so energetic. I'm loving it here.
It is. It's beautiful here.
I slept in like 3 days.
Yes. So
as you'll be able to tell very soon,
energetic.
People on the podcast listening.
But because I asked you this in Amsterdam, and we are in the food capital of the world, I have to ask you now, what's the best thing you've eaten so far in Paris?
Oh, it's without a doubt. I teased it last weekend. We arrived on Sunday, and the first place I went to, I looked up, I'm going to make sure I get it right, too, because it's very hard for me to say, Merveilleux de Fred. Literally de
Every
Fred.
French-speaking person that listens to this
they
podcast
just
vomited a little bit.
Yeah, but I went and got the pastry that I wanted. It was like a raisined sweetbread.
Oh.
Got 2 of them. Ate them both. I think I got stung by a hornet too, because there were all these.
There are a lot of bees in there.
Yeah, there was like a lot of. Did you see that? Yeah, there were a lot of bees in there. I think I got stung.
Shops.
I got stung pretty bad.
Okay.
But so that's what I did. Yeah.
Okay.
What was your favorite bite?
Mine is a chocolate bretzel.
Bretzel
au chocolat.
Okay.
I tried to bring one for you this morning.
Oh wow, that was nice of you.
This is the bakery. I can't pronounce it. It's right by our hotel, and it is the most wonderful. So I brought you a pan au chocolat instead.
Thank you.
But which will come into
play later. Yeah, all right.
This thing is like it's a pretzel.
You know how I feel about pretzels.
It's in the shape of a pretzel.
Yeah.
It has sea salt and chocolate inside of the dough is more like a cinnamon roll. They were sold out this morning already. At 7 a.m. when they opened, somebody came in and bought them all. So I'm going to have to keep searching, but I will find you one.
No.
The bretzel au chocolat.
That sounds amazing. That's it makes me wonder too, and why haven't we called the beer pretzel the Biertzel or something like that in the U.S.? Like, why do we call it the beer pretzel? Why don't we get a little more creative with that?
What do the Germans?
Why do the French need to own the pretzel? Why can't the Americans get on it and come with the Biertzel? Let's get the Biertzel going, folks. Hey, we're all friends here.
Oh my
God. Maybe.
Until we get pummeled.
All right. Well, let's get to today's headlines. Today, in this week's Fast 5, we've got news on Walgreens going after party supplies, Starbucks using Vision AI to monitor in-store inventory, PacSun announcing the formation of an industry-first youth council, and the growing preference of AI search engines over Google. But we begin today live from NRF Paris at the Fusion Group's podcast studio with news on Kroger. Ann.
That's right. Headline number one. Kroger is reviewing its automated e-commerce fulfillment network. According to Grocery Dive, Kroger is conducting a, quote, full site-by-site analysis, end quote, of its automated order fulfillment network as it looks to improve profitability and reduce costs, interim CEO Ron Sargent said Thursday during the grocer's second quarter earnings call. Sargent said that the supermarket operator intends to focus on store-level fulfillment as it strives to provide grocery delivery services faster and more efficiently instead. Developed in partnership with UK-based automation specialist Ocado, Kroger's automated e-commerce network features robotic warehouses that connect to smaller facilities known as spokes. Quote, where we have seen strong demand in high-density areas, these facilities deliver better results than those facilities where density is lower and customer adoption has been slower, end quote, Sargent said about the network, adding, quote, we are taking a hard look at some of our automated facilities, end quote. Chris, what are your insights here on Kroger's purported site-by-site analysis of its automated e-commerce fulfillment network?
Oh, my insights. That's a new question. We haven't had that before. All right, well, my thoughts in general for this, I think this is the right move.
Yeah.
I do. I think, Ron Sargent, the interim CEO, he appears to be making the tough decisions. He's making the tough calls. He isn't going to, one of the first things you learn about in business school is, like, you don't ever want to fall into the sunk cost trap. Like, the fact you've spent billions of dollars on something that you're going to keep doubling down on it until it works. So he's trying to avoid that. That's my first takeaway. My other takeaway is that, this is kind of how we figured things were going to play out.
Yeah.
If you look back at our coverage for the past, 5, 6, 7 years since we started talking about micro-fulfillment, we always had questions about whether or not the large, centralized, automated facilities would play out across America.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they may not be, and it sounds like where they are working is where there's urban density, where it's similar to what you see in London, where Ocado is successful. So,
right.
So in some ways, I'm not surprised by this, but those are my thoughts right now. But I'm curious. I'm interviewing Ocado CEO Tim Steiner on stage. I haven't actually met him yet or talked about what our discussion topic is going to be, but I'm hoping to at least get some insight into how they're thinking about Kroger, the landscape for automation in the U.S., but really broadly too, because I think they're in like 14 countries, and I gotta imagine there's a lot of similarities in terms of what works across those countries, as well as differences that we can learn about as U.S. grocers and consumers too. So that's my takeaway.
Yeah, I think you hit on a lot of important points. One being, we know that in the U.S. especially, stores are still important fulfillment centers when it comes to doing last mile efficiently and really being cost effective.
That's cheaper, right?
It is, and that's why I think you see even retailers like Target expanding their footprints in stores and expanding their back rooms so that they can do more in-store fulfillment. Even Kroger is talking about some of their new concepts where they're going to, give more space in the back room. Although I don't think that takes away from the role that these fulfillment centers play, but I think Ron Sargent is smartly kind of going through and looking at where do these make sense? Because they do make sense. Walmart's building another, they're building facilities where they're automating some of these processes too. But I think it's just really reevaluating smartly, as Sargent is, the nodes in the network and what makes sense and what buildings are fulfilling which operations. But I'm curious about this because what this really makes me think about more than anything is the challenge that Amazon has in front of them.
Okay, how so?
With delivery, especially as they're starting to get more into grocery. Because if Kroger's having problems with this, and Kroger has 2,800 store locations across the U.S., what does this mean for the continued expansion of Amazon with no stores? Yes, they have fulfillment centers, but we're seeing from this that Kroger is having a lot of difficulty with these fulfillment centers. How is Amazon going to do this better with no physical locations?
Yeah, it's a tough challenge. I mean, that was part of that's a good point, because that was part of the premise of these Kroger fulfillment centers too, is that they could go into markets where they don't even have stores, right, and see and get them to work and get them to deliver products, and it doesn't seem like that's been working the way that they had hoped. So that's an interesting point. Yeah, just another challenge for Amazon's grocery strategy. All right, headline number 2, Walgreens is dedicating in-store space to party supplies and expanding its assortment in the category. According to Retail Dive, Walgreens is expanding its party supply lineup in stores and online, Ann. Yeah, and online. The retailer now has dedicated in-store space for party supplies with nearly 5 times more than before. Not 9 times like Ferris Bueller, but 5 times. Some of the retailer's party items are also available for 30-minute pickup or even 1-hour delivery should you need that helium balloon, Ann.
Yes.
Because the expanded assortment includes helium balloons, cake toppers, party plates, napkins, banners, foil backdrops, and decorative centerpieces. And some of the items, Ann, are starting at $1.99. Can you believe this? All right.
What a steal.
I know, right? The move comes after Party City filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy a second time and then announced the closure of nearly 700 locations. And as you can tell by the increased enthusiasm in my voice as I read that headline, this is also the A&M Put You on the Spot question.
All right.
All right, here it is. And I quote, after Party City's Chapter 11 filing and liquidation, is there still enough to go around that physical retail, Ann, needs new players to pick up the slack and introduce these categories? End quote.
Yes.
Yes.
I do think so.
Yes.
And not all retail players. Let me make note of that. But, Chris, have you ever found yourself, like, on a Christmas morning thinking, I need some things. I need to get plates because we don't have enough plates. I need some kind of
I have had a
decoration.
plate emergency, yes.
Yes. You know what's open on Christmas?
Not a hell of a lot.
Not a hell of a lot, but you know what is open?
Walgreens 24 hours?
Walgreens 24-hour stores, which is, I think, why
Great
this
call.
move is so brilliant. Not only is this an area where I think people are already going, you already know that if it's especially in a holiday emergency situation where you need these types of products, Walgreens is available. They're going to be open. And I also think that this is going to increase the basket for some of those shoppers. They're not just going to be going there to get the party supplies. They're going to be picking up extra sodas, or maybe they're picking up like little toys or candy or something to put in these party bags. Like, I think this is a very, very smart strategic move for Walgreens. And even as I've been walking, I was in New York last week. We were in Paris this week. Even as you walk in these little city versions of, Carrefour or whatever Monoprix might be, they have significant party supply areas, and they are wiped out.
And the French know how to party. That shouldn't be a surprise.
I know, but it's like everybody needs these products. This makes sense. Birthday candles.
So you're all in on this move.
I am 100% in. I think this is so smart. And I do think, to answer A&M's question, that this is 100% one retailer that should be picking up the slack.
Okay. And well, I'm gonna respectfully agree with you. I'm going to agree with you on this one. Yes.
You had me worried.
Yeah,
There's a lot of respectfully.
You can kind of tell how A&M's thinking about this based on how they asked that question. At least I'm kind of surmising that. But no, I think, first of all, the Party City business is nothing to sneeze at. I looked it up. It was $2 billion. Yeah. Consistently. So that's a lot of change. That's a lot of party supply.
Those helium balloons are not cheap. Have you bought one? They're like $12, $15 for like a balloon.
I try not to buy them as often as possible, to be honest. But I have had to buy them, yes, and they are. There's some margin in those helium balloons, But I think a couple other reasons I think it's a great addition too. So one, I think it's a solid incremental item, right, for the floor pad, right?
Yep.
And I go through Walgreens all the time. I'm like, there's so much slow-moving stuff in here. Like, you could dedicate more space to stuff that you need, like on the occasions that you're talking about. Then the other thing I thought about, too, is they have that whole service counter, which is an element of a Walgreens experience that not a lot of other retailers have.
Sure.
You can get your passport photos. You can get real photos developed.
Pick up
packages. You can return your packages, pick up packages. So why can't you put helium behind there? It's totally easy, right?
And it gives the people something to do when they're bored, just like...
Right, because the Walgreens employees don't have enough to do, right? Shout out to them. Those guys work hard.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, the other point I'd make... And this is inside baseball, folks. This is why you listen to Omni Talk Retail, because we know that the new chief merchant at Walgreens, which was not in most of the I didn't see it once in the headlines, actually.
Really?
The new chief merchant for Walgreens is formerly of Party City and formerly a colleague of ours at Target, Tracy Calder. So my hunch is she knows a little something about party supplies and how to tack this opportunity. So if anyone's going to do it, it's probably her.
Yeah.
Now, caveat, of course, she could be like, okay, maybe I know this category, that's why I'm going into it, but I don't think so. I know her pretty well. I think she thinks there's some low-hanging fruit here. So kudos to her for going after and getting it. And it sounds like the use cases like you described are there.
Tracy, we're all in. So we'll start buying our helium balloons as soon as they're available at our local Walgreens.
I reached out to her to see if she's at grocery shop. She's not going to be there, unfortunately, but hopefully maybe we can get somebody else from her team to speak with us.
All right. I love it. Okay, let's go to headline number 3, Chris. Starbucks is deploying computer vision technology to help the chain track its in-store stock and possibly even to automate some ordering. According to Supply Chain Dive, the tech developed in conjunction with Nomad Go is currently...
Great name, huh?
Yeah.
Nomad Go?
It's a great name.
Yeah.
It's currently live across thousands of coffee houses and will be in use across the chain's entire North American company-operated store system by the end of September. According to Deb Hall Lefevre, I'm going to go with Lefevre.
This is my favorite name of any name. It's like Brett Favre.
Yeah.
In Something About Mary.
Yeah, I know.
Or
You mentioned that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you... Yeah. Well, Deb, you know how to get in touch with us. Yeah. She is Starbucks Chief Technology Officer, and she says that in cafes using the artificial intelligence systems, quote, inventory is now counted 8 times more frequently, giving us real-time visibility and enabling faster, more precise replenishment, end quote. A publicity video shared with the announcement shows workers scanning fridges and stock rooms with the cameras on store tablets, which automatically tabulate the amount and type of ingredients on hand. Chris, are you for or against Starbucks experimenting with computer vision to help track store inventory?
Oh, I'm 100% for this.
Yeah.
100%.
Explain why.
Well, it's very simple, Ann, because Starbucks needs to find a way to free up its staff to actually fill orders.
Right.
And so if they're going to try to experiment with this through the future of automated ordering, yeah, I'm all in. Because the most telling statistic to me in the article was actually buried at the end. I'm guessing you saw it too, where they talked about how Starbucks recently revealed that they're testing something called the Smart Queue ordering sequencing platform.
Yes.
Which is hard to say, the Smart Queue ordering sequencing platform. And here's what Brian Niccol, the CEO of Starbucks, said, and I want to make sure I get this right, so I'm going to read it out loud. So he said, quote, since testing the algorithm, it has driven, quote, a double-digit improvement in cafe orders handed off in under 4 minutes, with 80% of in-cafe orders now meeting that target, end quote, where the algorithm is being tested. Okay, so think about what that statement means, Ann. That means that 20% of the orders where this is showing a massive improvement are still not meeting the customer service expectation of under 4 minutes.
That's it's ridiculous.
That means you have a massive problem, and you have no idea what the dispersion of that is either. Like, are some people waiting 10, 15 minutes?
Right.
I mean, I've been putting my orders in. It's taken a long time, many times. So that is just crazy to me. And so, yes, anything that possibly chips away at that or frees up employees to make coffees more quickly, all in.
Yeah, I agree.
Smart.
I agree. It's not automated coffee makers yet, which I would still like to see. But like you said, anything that frees up time for the baristas to be more focused on getting in front of customers and making coffee more quickly, the better. The second part of this is I didn't realize what a problem Starbucks had with out of stocks until this article and started like going into that.
Yeah, I've never actually encountered that.
That to me is a huge problem because when I think about the future success of Starbucks, it's not whether or not there's a coffee house that I can sit in and work or not. Starbucks is sold 100% on reliability. The reliability that whether I'm in Beijing or Boston, I can get exactly the same drink that I am expecting every single time. And if they don't have the products in stock, I'm going to stop going to Starbucks for that. Like,
Has that ever happened to you, though?
Yes, for sure.
Really?
Like, oat milk is out of stock.
Okay.
Or like I like a vanilla bean powder, and there's like a lot of instances, or food, other things too, like where those products are not in stock. And I think if you can't hit on reliability, Starbucks, that's where you're going to start losing people to the other local coffee houses or to somewhere else where they are having a better experience or they're getting that fast coffee that they want or the coffee house experience that they want. So to me, before mobile orders, before coffee house experience enhancements, you have to make sure that your products are in stock and people can get what they're looking for when they go to you.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. I've never actually had that experience, but the other side of the coin too is like there's actually the efficiency of the inventory from deploying tools like this too, which frees up your working capital to then potentially put it back into store labor as well. So there's that side of it as well. So either way, it seems like a win-win. All right, headline number 4. This one's interesting. PacSun announced this past week that it has formed an industry-first youth advisory council According to a PacSun press release, unlike traditional ambassador programs, the PacSun Youth Advisory Council, the YAC as I'm calling it, selected members. The Youth Advisory Council, grants selected members direct access to PacSun's strategic decision-making processes and a spot at the leadership table. The council is intentionally structured with young people who regularly meet with PacSun executives to share their perspectives on the same topics reviewed at leadership meetings, while also contributing new ideas that reflect the values and priorities of their generation. And
yes,
I'm going to put it bluntly. Are you buying or selling the industry's first youth advisory council?
I'm 100% buying.
I figured you would.
I think this is a really smart move for a few reasons. One, BCG, we've worked with them, Burns Communication Group. They put this event on at most conferences that you're going to called the Z Suite.
Yep.
It's where they take a panel of Gen Zers and they put them up in front of retailers and just open it up to questions. How are you shopping? What means are you looking to help just with product discovery? Like, where are you going? Like, any question that you want. And those rooms are packed every single time because every retailer and every solutions provider, Google's looking for this type of insight to really understand what this next generation is looking for. Second point, we've also started to see this trend in the fashion industry where fashion publications are hiring influencers now as editors. And the reason that they're doing that is because they, one, have the insight of what they know their loyal, engaged followers are paying attention to. But then the other side of that is that they also can put out that content, that editorial from that publication to their engaged followers. And that cycle continues. And that's no different than what PacSun is doing here with this advisory council, because they're taking well-known influencers who are, who have a devoted following. They're getting insights into how to develop that right product for the rest of their demographic, and then they're also putting that content out. And they're putting that product out in front of their followers. So to me, this is a brilliant, brilliant move, and they're giving some great mentorship opportunities. Like, side note, that's great. Yeah. How wonderful would it be to be, a young 18-year-old, 20-something, and you get to be part of this council?
Yeah. No, okay. I disagree with you on the first part, agree with you on the second part.
Okay.
I think the first part, that's fine. I mean, I've been at those events, I've been in those rooms, like, lots of companies are doing that. I don't think that's competitively differentiating.
Sure.
I think it's easy to do, too. And I've been at things where they've said they're going to do that, and then the executives just pencil whip it and meet with the executives. They meet with these people for 30 minutes, and they go about their day and don't really take anything back that improves the business. So when I first read the headline, I was like, oh, man, if that's what this is, I'm not buying into this at all.
Right.
But your second point, I think, is really important because this is seemingly unique. As I read into the headline, you look at the list of who's on this advisory board, it is a who's who, at least seemingly so, based on the backgrounds that they're sharing,
the stats,
of bona fide influencers. And so to me, this is less of like an advisory council, depending on how they set it up. I may be giving them too much credit here, but I'm kind of doubting I'm not. It's more to me like an advisory board, like of a startup, where you're bringing these people in, you're potentially getting them equally yoked to the success of PacSun.
Right.
They have their influencer channels too, so they're going to want to promote PacSun. And so I think about this kind of as maybe a new wave model to get a different representation on kind of your board, your boards in general. Because like when you think about the money you're putting towards like the old white guy on the board from options and things, you could probably spend the same amount to these people who could actually help drive the business as well. And that's what I think is really unique about it.
Right. I also think that Bree Olson, the CEO over at PacSun, should get a lot of kudos for this move. She is consistently an out-of-the-box thinker and has built a culture at her organization that supports things like this being successful. Would this work at any other retailer? You got to have the culture, you got to have the fit. I think Bree's done a tremendous job of making sure that she's got that in place so that they can actually take from this council and learn something and do something with it versus just being like, okay, we met with you for 30 minutes, we're gone.
Although I would push that a little bit. I think it should be able to work at every retailer. And
if
it doesn't, that's because of your culture not being able to make it work. And that's another issue that you got to solve.
Yeah.
Because as you're trying to get younger, as the generations are growing and the spending power is shifting, you have to figure this out.
For sure.
So if you can't make an idea like this work, you kind of suck. And your culture needs to change.
You need to fix your culture first, so that ideas like this can work. That's where the focus needs to be. All right, let's go to headline number 5. A new survey has revealed, Chris, that almost half of AI search tool users prefer them to Google. According to Chain Storage, a new report from the SEO agency Ethical, Google remains the dominant search platform, with 86% of survey respondents in the U.S. and the United Kingdom are using it to find information. However, AI-powered search tools are widely adopted, with 81% of participants using them in the past 3 months. Younger consumers, 63% of Gen Z and 68% of millennials use AI tools frequently, compared to less than half, 46% of baby boomers. Almost 45% of those surveyed say that AI tools provide a superior experience to Google in terms of speed and clarity, with 15% saying it is, quote, much better than, and 29% saying it is slightly better. I got one more percentage for you.
All right,
nearly
great.
60%.
Nearly
60% of respondents told Ethical that they use AI tools to research products or services before buying.
60% though. That's a lot.
Yes. Chris, are you surprised that almost half of AI search tool users prefer them to Google? And AI search tools, as we're talking about it, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, whatever you want to.
Whatever your flavor is. Ann.
Whatever your flavor is. Yes.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Are you surprised?
No.
No, I'm not surprised. Not at all. And I mean, just the amount of times my mother and my wife and my friends use it, like, I'm not surprised by this at all. My big question for me, and I'm curious about this because I've seen a lot of people start to poo-poo this on LinkedIn, particularly some people that I really respect. I'm not going to call them out here because I want to actually talk to them first before I do. But they've been poo-pooing the movement towards agentic AI. And so what I think is really interesting about this is the agentic AI movement, we're not even in inning 1 of that yet. And that potentially is still going to happen. So depending on how that takes off, this will amplify those numbers even more as people get acclimated to what that is, how it works, and what it can do for you.
Right.
So I'm buying this headline. I think it's very important. It's very disruptive, and it's only going to become more disruptive. And to all the naysayers out there, I'd say I wouldn't discount this so fast. I think you're kind of risking things a little bit there. I'd be hedging on this.
Yeah, well, and you can't even transact in some of these yet. Like, that's the thing too. Like, they're already getting this much traffic when you can't even just click and buy in all of them yet. So I think as that process becomes more fluid and you can do that without having to leave that search engine, I think that's really where things are going to continue to light up. The other thing, and I'm teasing, we have an amazing podcast coming up with David Dorff next week of Amazon. The other time, the other time I want to look back at this data, Chris, is after the holidays. Because I'm curious, now that we've had ChatGPT or large language search in all of our lives for over a year, pretty widely adopted.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm curious to see how much this increases after the holidays and during gift giving season, because I would venture to guess that we're going to start to see even more adoption as more people start to use this, because it's so valuable.
Yeah.
It's a much better experience. You get much better results. The only missing link for me right now is that transacting in the moment.
Yeah, and that's going to come. Now, whether the agentic part, how that plays into it and how that disruptive that is, yes. But that's a great point. Yeah, holiday shopping, e-commerce always increases during the holidays.
Right.
Every year, the percentage of commerce that goes to e-commerce always goes up.
Well, even Ryan Hamburger yesterday from Instacart, who we interviewed, I mean,
one thing
that occurred to me there is it's like they are already thinking. If you aren't thinking about how you're going to prepare for a world where agents are shopping on behalf of your customers and customers are still shopping you're going to be in a whole heap of trouble, I think, come, even 6 months or a year from now.
And newsflash, in my opinion, there's no surprise that Instacart CEO Chris Rogers was out in the media this week saying that retailers need to keep their prices the same in store as they are on Instacart. And why is that? Because of the eventuality of agentic AI coming, because they're going to get stripped away if they don't do that.
Right.
So they're preparing for that eventuality, at least as part of the reasoning for that.
Right.
So.
Okay, Chris, let's go to the lightning round. This is the French edition.
French edition. Okay.
Croissant.
Bonjour, mon ami.
Bonjour. Croissant or pain au chocolat?
Ooh, pan. I go with the pan of chocolat.
I know,
for
which
sure.
I brought you.
Yeah, which you brought me.
You can have right after this episode.
You know me so well. All right, Ann. Next
Okay.
one. Langoustines
Yes.
or escargot?
For sure, escargot.
No way.
Oh, 1,000
No
times.
way. The salty sea versus the dirt of the earth?
I think langoustines and lobster are very overrated.
Oh, no, not if you have a
Yes.
good one. Not if you the best, the variability may be higher. Well, I don't know. I've had some bad snails too, but like the best lobster is freaking amazing.
Oh, see, I mean,
right,
it's
well, hey,
okay, but I
you-
think escargot is like such a unique
If given your
experience.
choice?
I think somebody could slip like a shrimp in there or something, and you would not be able to notice.
Shrimp.
Okay.
Talking a bona fide langoustine though,
Yes.
but not a shrimp. But okay.
Okay,
All right.
I'm just saying, like, I think that you could be told that's a langoustine and be like, yeah, this is
Yeah,
good.
It's just a big prawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I gotcha.
Okay. Paris Metro or London Tube?
Oh God, you know the answer to that. London too.
Yeah.
100%. For so many reasons. Because it's also the greatest example of user experience design in the history of the world. Because the map is not actually drawn to where the actual tube stops are.
Right.
Which I just find fascinating. That's why it was on the back of the Fast Five podcast for so long in the background of our videos.
I was at dinner last night,
Yeah.
and there was a Frenchman who said the difference between the London Tube and the Paris Metro is that if you bump into somebody on the London Tube, both people will apologize, and if I bump into you on the French Metro train, I would be mad at you for being too close to me.
Yeah, right.
So that's simply the difference
Yes.
between these two modes of transportation.
Now, I will say I haven't ridden the French Metro as often as the London Tube either,
Sure.
so I got to give it more of a try. But all right, and last one. This one's a good one.
Yes.
Napoleon or Genghis Khan? Favorite emperor?
I picked Genghis Khan because I
Really?
like that song more. The Mike Snow song, you know, like
of
I
course
get a
I
little
don't
bit
know.
Genghis Khan. You'll recognize it. I'll play it for you later.
Okay.
But yes,
All right.
that's
You're going
strictly-
Genghis, huh?
I'm just going Genghis Khan because I have I don't have enough historical knowledge on both of their reigns to
Okay.
properly.
I just
select.
read War and Peace, so I was like, it's all about
Jesus.
Napoleon. So
Okay, so you're picking Napoleon.
I think I'd pick Napoleon. Plus, he's got like food named after him.
What about Genghis Khan? Like, why wouldn't you pick Genghis Khan?
I don't know. It's probably because he doesn't have any food named after him that I can think
That's
of.
it. So songs
know?
and food. This is
Yeah,
how we're.
yeah,
This is how
that
we're
sounds about
choosing
right for our
emperors.
personalities. All right, well, that wraps us up for today. Happy birthday to, I got to find it here. Hold on, we're live. I got to find my notes. Happy birthday today to Kyle Chandler. Kyle Chandler, I know you like Kyle Chandler.
Don't know who
Baz
that
Luhrmann.
is.
You don't know Kyle Chandler is Friday Night Lights?
No, do I
Oh,
know
really?
him?
The coach in Friday Night Lights? Yeah, you know him.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now I didn't know
Wow.
that was his name.
Wow, you
but
really
yeah,
know
I
him.
do.
All right,
I
okay.
do, yeah.
Baz Luhrmann, and because we're in Paris, to Daniel Huddlestone, who played little Gavroche in the 2012 movie version of Les Miserables.
It's a deep
Also
cut.
starring Hugh Jackman. Mm-hmm. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk, the only retail media outlet run by two former executives from a current top 10 U.S. retailer. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news, and our daily newsletter, the Retail Daily Minute, tells you all you need to know each day to stay on top of your game as a retail executive, and also regularly features special content that is exclusive to us and that Ann and I take pride in doing just for you. Thanks as always for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. You can follow us today by simply going to youtube.com/OmniTalkRetail. So until next week, and on behalf of all of us at OmniTalk, on behalf of Ann, myself, be careful out there.